On this episode of The View from Jamestown, we recap the AFPM last week down in San Antonio. Seems like a lot of cautious optimism out there in the industry for Q2 and the rest of the year. A lot of great meetings, a lot of great new supplier and customer opportunities. Here our recap on last week at AFPM and more on The View from Jamestown. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the View from Jamestown podcast edition. This is episode 106. This is the April 2024 edition, and we got the full team back home from AFPM this week. From my left to right, TCC President Robb Roach, Inside Sales Manager Nicole Greenberg, VP of Sales and Marketing AJ Petrarca, and Latin American Operations Manager Javier Fernandez. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben. We made it back. Still have no boys, but I made it back.
Yeah.
I made it back.
We're in one piece almost.
Yes, almost. No boys. My wife is not happy.
No?
She's like, I don't have sympathy for you. I know where you're up to. I'm like, okay, thank you, Angela. Hi, Angela.
What'd you say this morning? A lot of meetings? That's
yeah. It's like, what's up with you boys? Like, a lot of meetings. A lot of meetings.
Yeah. Wheeling, dealing.
Yeah. Cutting some deals.
Of course,
always.
That's the way you're supposed to come back from
Yes,
AFPM.
of course.
AJ still got the flow. Rob's got the what, it's not really a mustache. What do we call this?
Handlebar.
Handlebars? Rob's got the handlebars.
Yeah.
It's like Captain Quint.
Was he on Star Trek or something like that?
No, that was Jaws.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
I think it was Quint,
That's a little
wasn't it?
better than Star Trek.
Yeah. Wasn't it Quint?
Yeah, Quint. Yeah.
I sent a couple of pictures to my parents and my family group chat from the AFPM. The first thing Austin said was, "Wow, look at Rob's mustache. That's a stash right there."
I had a couple people mention it at the party there too. So it's a strong mustache. So.
Clean shaven's no fun.
Fun with facial hair.
I'm thinking about going to a mullet.
Yeah?
Yeah. You can do it right.
You're right on track.
Yeah.
You're on track.
Yeah.
You'll be approaching man bun territory here soon.
I think I got some buzzers upstairs. We can do it after this.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Just shave the sides.
Should we do it on film?
I was
For
going
the
to say,
podcast?
you could do it on like, hey, now that would be interesting.
Anything for views.
Yeah, but like the Japanese style, like just shave the side, just have the top going.
I don't know what the Japanese style is. I'm a little skeptical of that. I just want a regular mullet. I want an Alabama style. I don't know about
redneck mullet. Yeah.
Like a Joe Dirt.
You went from a tight fade not that long ago to now we're approaching mullet territory.
Yeah. This is a first. I'm in uncharted territory right now.
Yeah, you're not kidding. Well, as mentioned, we're obviously back from the AFPM. Mm-hmm. We got this episode in the books kind of as soon as we could do a little recap on AFPM while everyone kind of caught up on a little bit of sleep. So hopefully everyone except Javi is feeling better at this point here. We know how Javi still feels. But I would say it was a successful AFPM for anyone that saw us down there. I mean, obviously we had a great golf outing. The cocktail party was, I think, better than expected, and a lot of meetings all week long. So, what do you think? You agree with this year's AFPM?
Yeah, I think it was great overall. I have no complaints whatsoever. I thought the meetings were candid and good and well thought out, and the golf was awesome. I mean, I didn't golf, but I was there at the quarry. Beautiful day. We got the right weather for going between meetings, like 70 degrees, so it wasn't like 100 degrees and we were sweating the whole time. The weather couldn't have been more perfect, and the meetings were great. I mean, it was I'd say somewhat optimistic. Depends on who you talk to. There were a few Debbie Downers, but mostly they were pretty optimistic.
Tempered optimism.
So
Sure.
that's what I have listed as the potential title for this episode, and we'll see if it sticks. But I have cautious optimism as the kind of potential title for recapping AFPM and just kind of I think what everyone's seen in general.
Yeah, I think if you're in trade, things are still a little difficult, but there is, I mean, it was the American edition of all the global chemical meetings.
The big four.
America's doing very well, and I think that's probably what I took away from it more than anything was like, wow, Texas. They are drilling and, got a lot of oil and gas coming out. Things are booming there. So we were in the center of it all.
What was Kevin's line on drilling?
Drill, baby, drill.
Yeah.
Did he say it to you? I heard him say it like 3 or 4 times all week.
I don't remember that. Drill, baby, drill. Yeah. I like it, though.
Something like that, yeah. I think it's what he was saying, but, I mean, you could see it. Yeah. You could see it was happening. I mean, the traffic was there. The restaurants were crowded.
Full.
Oh my God! There was so
a lot
many
of people, a lot of
downtown.
tourists, a lot of
tourists.
tourists.
Yes, very much.
Everyone was out and about.
I think the only folks that weren't there were the Asia contingent. Like there wasn't a lot of people from, I would say, other Asia, China as well. That was noticeable.
Yep. Nicole, AFPM thoughts, recap?
I thought it was great. I mean, I second Robb's comments on that. It was busy. There were great meetings, great conversations. And, between the golf and the cocktail party, I think, we really got to see everyone and, just connect. And it was great.
JJP, thoughts, considerations, concerns, takeaways?
I probably could have used a couple more days down there.
Yeah.
Not that I want that, but it was that busy. This is probably, I think, I don't know what the attendance was like at AFPM overall, but it seemed like our busiest conference ever as far as, our cocktail party and our meeting schedule and stuff like that. So I think, could have used some more time for more meetings or longer meetings in some cases. But it was a great conference.
Yeah. Yeah, the longer meeting thing is interesting. I tried to float to some people like, oh, we can meet for, an hour and a half. And people were like, no, I got a 2 o'clock. I can't do it or whatever. So somehow we got to normalize maybe a little bit longer.
Yeah, hour and a half or
yeah,
2 hours.
Depend.
There's some meetings, also some meetings that need to be half an hour,
Right.
So you pick and choose. But yeah, it was great to see everybody. The cocktail party was a success. The golf outing was really good. And the meetings, the substance of the meetings, people are wanting the U.S. so bad because it's the only economy that's doing relatively well. And I think it's strong. I mean, we had a strong Q1 overall. And as you said, optimism. People are cautious optimism, but for sure, everyone's looking at us.
And Mexico.
And Mexico, for sure.
A lot of questions. Whenever I was meeting with Javi, they were asking about Latin America, but more Mexico.
Mexico focus. Yeah, Brazil is not doing so.
And there's
so
a election this year in Mexico.
Yes.
That's very important. So
yeah, and we talk politics open.
Yeah. It seems like Americans are sort of shut down on politics. They're just not discussing anymore.
Yeah.
I noticed that for sure.
Yeah, everyone asks you, who do you think is going to win? Blah blah blah. It's just open, out in the open.
I am always amazed, like sitting in some of your meetings, like it's almost like folks outside the U.S. are more interested in the election and what's going to happen in the U.S. versus people in the U.S. People have a lot of eyeballs. I
use a saying that Nicole likes. It says, when the U.S. sneezes, everyone gets a cold.
I'd never heard it before. I was like,
my
wow,
dad uses this, like when the U.S. sneezes, everyone gets a cold.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, powerful statement.
Right?
Yeah.
It's true though.
It's so true. Everyone wants to know what's gonna happen because it's gonna trickle down to all the economies around the world.
Yeah.
It's very impressive.
Yeah.
And Texas is booming.
Yeah.
And Whataburger is the best.
This episode is sponsored by
Whataburger.
Five Guys is the best, I think. I don't know. Really? Whataburger?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tradition.
George says Five Guys.
Five Guys.
Okay.
Five Guys. What do you say, Nicole?
I love Whataburger. I used to be an In-N-Out gal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh
And
my
then
gosh.
I like
Whataburger.
Yeah.
Number two, and
Is
then
Five Guys?
no. For Whataburger, number 2 is a double.
Oh, okay.
But if we had is it because we don't have one home? Like, is it because you're in Texas, you go to Whataburger? Like, if we had one here, would you go?
I'll go.
You would seek it
Yeah.
out.
it's kind of like you with Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll go wherever it is.
And also the
What?
Chicken-fil-A. You at the airports, you like it there.
I'm not a fan of Chick-fil-A.
No, it's good.
No.
Where did we get Bojangles the other day?
Bojangles
yes.
Very good
at the
chicken.
airport. That was good. That was good.
Okay. I don't know that one.
But yeah, sorry to derail the podcast.
No, this is
some
some of the most important AFPM meetings happen at the
Whataburger.
Whataburger.
Yeah, you see,
At like midnight, 2
Yeah.
4 a.m.
2, 3.
somewhere in there.
It's like a chemical industry summit at the Whataburger the Whataburger dining room.
yeah, it was funny. It was funny for sure.
Yeah, it seems, I think, like everyone said, kind of cautious optimism on things doing okay, getting back to single-digit GDP sort of growth. Like, we're not going back to the COVID, everyone growing 10, 20% a year, and just kind of tempering your expectations and seeing kind of what the expectation is, it seems like, is kind of the big takeaway. I think ocean freight will continue it was certainly a big conversation between, I'm sure you talked a lot about the Panama Canal and freight to and from Asia into Mexico and Latin America.
Delays, rollovers, you name it. We're seeing it all. We're seeing everything. We're seeing everything at the moment.
Yeah,
roll. So whatever was 6 to 8 weeks, now it's 8 to 10, 10 to 12 at least. It's bad.
Yeah, there was something that came up down there that I hadn't really realized was since the Red Sea is sort of cut off, the ships are now obviously going around Africa and they go up to Europe and they don't take a right and go into the Mediterranean. So the Mediterranean areas are now being starved of shipping. You know, especially somebody who's like very sensitive to imports and exports, like Turkey, is getting really, really beat up right now because there's no one really going there, because of course the Suez Canal is sort of at the top of the Red Sea. So it was interesting to hear that they're suffering a good bit there because of the shipping and delays and things like that, and nobody wants to take that extra jaunt into the Mediterranean.
Sure. Yeah, and speaking of freight, I mean, two things going on in that world too. We're watching. So obviously we do some products, obviously out of Europe, but specific to Finland. There's a port strike going on specific to Finland, which is cutting off imports and exports around the port. You know, I think some of these unions that involve port workers are realizing how important the ocean freight is, and not afraid to take advantage of their leverage to take a strike and push for better pay or time off or whatever the case might be. And then obviously while we were down at AFPM, we watched the whole Baltimore Bridge collapse and disaster.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Very sad that obviously people lost their lives, and it is going to be a major impact on the logistics, not only to the port of Baltimore, but across the country for months to come, if not years.
I think it's the number one for cars and trucks. Import port. It's I think number 3 in the whole country in terms of containers. And really the impact of that is going to be seen by the overflow to, say, Charleston, Newark, New York, Jacksonville, et cetera. The East Coast ports are going to have to deal with a tremendous amount of new container vessels arriving and containers coming in throughput, which they're already sort of stressed. So, and, in the cleanup process, they've already made way for barges to come through, but it's going to be a long time before, and really the port is cut off.
Right.
So that's going to impact Maryland as well. But it was shocking to watch that. You think about it all the time because in Rhode Island we've got bridges that we have to literally go over every day to come here to work.
Sure.
And they are really unprotected for the most part. You see barges, you see, vessels carrying cars and trucks. You see oil vessels, monster LNG vessels going under the Newport Bridge, and you don't think about that ever happening, but it very easily could. And it's shocking to see, but it's a reality.
I bet Nicole's thought about
Yeah,
that.
don't think about it, Nicole.
I'm going to be very quiet right now.
You still have the windows down when you go over the bridge?
Oh, today I did.
Okay.
Yeah. Today, I for a while I was like I had graduated, and then
I think that was my first words we were talking about. We may never see Nicole in Jamestown ever again. With this.
Yeah. Why do you open the windows again? It's just so you can get out, right?
I don't know, just in case. Yeah, I'm like, what? I don't know.
Okay.
It was just in my head. It sounds like a good idea.
Whatever works.
Whatever works.
It's a way to blow dry your hair too, on the way to work.
But yeah, something we're keeping a close eye on. I think there's a lot of like ag stuff in and out of Baltimore, right? I think isn't there like some urea and stuff in and around there, so that may be impacted. I think we're going to see some of the trickle down effects of what hubs were in Baltimore and what we may see impacted there.
Yeah, there was a urea terminal there. I know antimony. A lot of antimony is stored in Baltimore. Yeah. That's a big one. But yeah, those are the two big chemical products that I can think of. Really, fertilizer and antimony would be affected. I'm sure there's others obviously.
There's a methanol storage facility there, I believe. There's definitely a good amount of throughput there. Obviously containers come through there.
It was interesting learning more. Like, I had no idea Baltimore was as big of a port as it was. Like, we talk about New York and Houston, Savannah, and all these places. I had no idea it was as big of a throughput as they had.
I had no idea either. No.
Something we'll obviously keep a close eye on. I know our logistics folks are monitoring not only the ports, but also I know that bridge obviously was a major throughway for, I think it was the only or the most direct hazmat approved road to get kind of through the greater Baltimore area. So that'll obviously lead to some delays in and around that area. So
right. Yeah, it was the only way to get hazmat because of tunnels. Yep. So you had to go off of 95, I believe, and go through there to any hazardous products. So I don't know how they're going to really handle that. It's going to be a long way around.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I'm sure while we were in San Antonio, you were, I'm sure, a busy guy, whether people were chasing you down in person or chasing down your WhatsApp. Obviously, I know we're
WhatsApp me.
one of the big things we're keeping an eye on are kind of some of the ongoing force majeures and supply outages globally, whether it's an outage on a direct product you're buying or a derivative of said product. So obviously keeping a close eye on your WhatsApp and relationships and sourcing.
Yeah, this thing has been
Popping.
Yeah, very nice.
We need that clipped as a soundbite, by the way.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, everyone was like, "Hey, you want to meet?" I was like, "Okay, yeah, let's meet." So everyone was product. You gotta keep in mind that the chemical company has a global outreach on sourcing capabilities. I mean, we have a great team. So we can get things from everywhere to everywhere, like
Anything to everywhere.
anything to everywhere,
That's right.
like your friend will say. So things are busy, and Mexico is busy, and Brazil not so much. But
What you can do is you can throw a clip in a Javi all last year like this. And now he's like this.
Yeah.
So it's all like you have to do Javi's mood based on trade flows. You
Sure.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's been very happy this first quarter.
Yeah, when everything's available from everywhere, it's
when everything is long, it's not a good round for me. But whenever things there are things going around, I get a lot of fun and a lot of joy on my job.
You just need some plant outages and some pirates in the Middle East, forcing ships to redirect to cause some global supply issues, and all of a sudden Javi's having a good time.
Yeah,
Drought in the Central America,
Yeah.
helps.
yeah.
But that'll be ending soon. So May is when the rainy season begins. So maybe, hopefully, you might see some relief by summer in the Panama Canal.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's one of the, obviously, as we go to AFPM, we have our master schedule and meetings and things like that. It's interesting. We do some of these kind of prep meetings. We're talking about who's meeting with who and if we should add people to it. Like it always seems like every single AFPM where there's meetings with people we've never met before. Like it's always amazing, especially, Javi on the sourcing side, how many people new connections and contacts and people globally.
Yeah,
it
people
really is a big.
sign up for the View from Jamestown because there's a good way to get in touch with us, and people were reaching out for a meeting through the View from Jamestown. So make sure you're on.
That's from our director of marketing, Javier Fernandez.
No, I had a first time meeting with a lot of people. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of positive feedback on the podcast, it seems like, which was great. So we certainly appreciate all that.
Yeah, some people's like, I don't know you. I know you don't know me, but I know you. I'm like, huh? From the podcast. I'm like, okay, great.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm famous,
That's what we're going for. What's up, everybody?
Love it.
So it's early April. As of now, the AJ's favorite China tariff exemptions are set to expire May 31st. We'll see if that happens or not, but I'm sure something you're at least starting to think about, potentially beat any reinstated tariffs, but I guess we'll see.
I heard rumblings of extensions, but I haven't seen it in writing yet. So I'm assuming they're going to get extended again. But hopefully we'll have more to report by next episode.
Yeah, hopefully. Come mid-May, they're actually extended, not keep us on the hook till the last minute again. But I suppose we'll see.
Yep, we will see.
Obviously, I know you talked about Latin America a little bit, and Mexico and whatnot. But how's the general mood from all your Latin American focused meetings over the last week?
BC.
Yeah.
BC plants are running. They're some expansion. Some customers are expanding, buying other companies or via organic growth. But there's a lot of expansion, especially in Mexico, with all the automotive, aerospatial, you name it. Tesla, all the brands are there, and all the free trade agreements and reshoring is a big part of we talked about our reshoring a lot during our meeting. So it's promising. So it should be a good year.
Seems like we talked a lot about companies and contacts you have in Mexico or Latin America that are now considering exporting or selling to the merchant market that maybe haven't in the past too. So
yes,
that seems like it came up a couple times. At least.
Because usually it's captive production. And they're like, no, we have some leverage, so we can explore the merchant market.
Yeah. With Javi, obviously. Where else?
Yeah.
How else do you want to go to market?
Through me.
With Javi.
Yeah. I have to be in the middle.
Of course.
WhatsApp me. WhatsApp me.
Yeah. So it is April 2nd, so we officially have Q1 behind us, and I know something you watch very closely with the general stock market and what's happening out there, and obviously we had a close to a record-setting Q1. I think most markets up 10%, if not right up there. So it's definitely a strong start to the year as far as the stock markets look and things along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, the financial markets are exceptional right now. Kind of a difficult time to make any investment decisions because we're sort of at the peak of Everest here, and the AI run seems to have cooled, and probably for good reason because it was something. That was epic, like as I said before, that was like the late 90s and the dot-com boom. So that was pretty epic, but now it's sort of reality, and we'll see who the winners of AI are. As well as looking at like the global markets, the DAX, which I follow in Germany, has been doing very, very well. 6 months of just hockey stick action over there, and the folks from Germany said things are getting better as well. And I also watched the Hang Seng Index in China, which was actually not doing very well for most of January and February, but March has turned around, and it's had very positive the last 3 to 4 weeks. So I think that there's maybe some hope to the China economy. I will say from our business, we're buying more in China all of a sudden, probably because of the fact that we can get to the West Coast U.S. and then rail it across pretty easily to Chicago or even the East Coast. And even with the tariffs, I mean, there's a lot of products that you just can't get, for one reason or another, or it's the cheapest alternative at this point. So our China office has been very busy. We've been shipping a lot of products to Latin America and in the mainland U.S. We're hearing that the money's starting to trickle out for the infrastructure plan. So a lot of the beneficiaries of that is, say, wire and cable. There's a whole change to our electrical grid. So there's a lot of maintenance, upkeep, and also changes that have to take place that require a lot of cable.
Sure.
A lot of Wi-Fi action, so all of that needs cables. We certainly enjoy it wirelessly on our phone, but so things are happening. And then coatings, we had a lot of discussion about coatings, and coatings is still difficult with import product coming in, which, obviously you can ship to Mexico, say, for example, duty free. So any sort of coatings that are built in Mexico or built elsewhere in the U.S. without that tariff have the benefit of buying extremely low price products in China.
Yep.
So it's very difficult for us to compete with that, especially on finished goods. So coatings is still a struggle, but getting better, especially with the delays in shipping and things like that. So like the major things that we're talking about, coatings, the polymer space seems to be getting better, and automotive as well seems to be getting, although there's like this major shift right now. Every commercial I see on TV is for an electric vehicle. Nobody's buying those.
No.
Excuse me. So you got everybody like catching up. You got Honda's got one now. You got Volvo has them now. You got BMW has them now. Ford has them now. Everybody has them now, but nobody's buying. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens with that, because they're just going to start lowering the cost, and everybody wants to switch back to petrol vehicles or the combo,
Right.
hybrid type models. But I just got a car, traded mine in and got a new car, and they said that Rhode Island just dropped the laws where by 2030 they wanted to go all EV. Now you can buy whatever you want and bring them in. So they were restricting the dealerships on what they could bring in.
Interesting.
And now they're allowed to bring in whatever
rid of
they
that.
want, because they had to drop that. They had to backpedal on that because people weren't ready for EVs.
Yeah. But like you go to I've seen like Jeep. There's a bunch of Jeep, either hybrid or fully electric models. I think there's like a Ram 1500 that's like either partial or fully electric, and it's
the dealership I went to had 100 electric vehicles in
I can't
stock, and
imagine
he said
moving.
that he's begging people to buy them,
Yeah.
and that people won't even touch them.
Yeah.
And there's fires happening all over the place. I mean, you hear about it on the news at night, or you talk to people, and I have a friend who has a trucking company. He had, I think, 10 Volvo electric type trucks that he had delivered. 3 went on fire on the way to delivery.
Oh my God.
So we canceled them all. I mean, this is,
Dang.
it's just not there yet. You
Right.
know what I mean? And it's not there yet in terms of there's not the charging capacity or ability to like plug in for a 10, 20-minute charge. You need to go a long charge.
Yeah.
So it's inconvenience sort of situation.
It's one of those things that seems like cool to talk about and everyone wants, it gets a lot of headlines and whatnot, but like in practicality, when people go to buy a car, you don't want an electric car.
That's why you got to be careful about AI. I mean, we're starting to see it implemented in our, everything from our Microsoft products to you could chat GPT, anything like, we're really we haven't seen like where this will really, really turn into dollars yet, and it will very quickly. In terms of like, I'm betting on things like medicines. I'm looking at things like the ability to make cancer treating drugs, or now they have these weight loss drugs that aren't impacting muscle mass. Like there's things that they could use this for scientifically, and it could go one way, it could be great, or it could go the other way and be really, really ugly and dangerous. Yep. So hopefully there's some control on that. They never controlled social media, so I don't know that they're going to control this. They're just starting to backpedal now and control social media. They should have done that a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's just going to be part of our lives. It's going to be baked into Outlook and Word and everything. It's going to stop being this cool headline and just be a part of,
It already is. We're starting to see it. You know what I mean? It's, but we're just touching the surface at this point.
Yeah. Well, I know in addition to Javi being very popular, I think AJ has been pretty popular here over the last couple of weeks too, for a couple of reasons. Obviously, it's early April. It's been a pretty early warm spring, it seems like, not just up here in New England, but across the country. So it seems like a lot of the fertilizer type products you manage have seen some increased demand here over the last couple of weeks, partially as expected and maybe partially a little bit earlier than expected.
Yeah, we're seeing increased demand due to early spring, and we're also seeing new growth in that space. A lot of people are adopting nitrogen extenders like Dicey and MBPT and formulating that into their products because they are great products to extend nitrogen. So that is a popular one. That should continue to grow. Right now is peak spring planting season. I know that there is a summer and fall planting season as well, but right now is the highest demand for us. Seasonality wise.
And then you also happen to manage a product called the Dipic Acid, which has been very popular here the last couple of weeks with some stuff going on in the market. Seems like we're getting an uptick in inquiries on that side. Yeah,
Dipic's a little snug here in the U.S. There's import sources, but it is due to some domestic production issues, it is a little snug. So it is a popular one this week. Yep.
Something we can send you. We get AJ's WhatsApp going, not just Javi's WhatsApp, but you can send AJ directly a WhatsApp here.
You can WhatsApp me as well.
Yeah. You sound way less optimistic than Javi does. Yeah, AJ's like, I guess.
I tend to miss WhatsApps. It's not like the front and center on my phone, but I'm getting better at it.
Yeah. So a lot of exciting stuff going on these days. It seems like it's been busy the last couple of weeks, not just because of AFPM.
Yep, it's been busy.
We're looking at prices. Obviously, I think we saw a big increase on benzene coming into March, but April's been relatively flat. Oil's trickling up a little bit, 84, 85, something like that now. Gas has been relatively flat. Stock market's on an upward trend, but nothing record-breaking over the last 30 days or so. So it seems like any kind of price movement or changes are more supply and demand driven versus kind of what's happened on the raw material side for the most part.
I think the Dow broke a record the other day. But yeah, it's just we're at the peak here. I don't know. I think I'm optimistic, bullish for sure. But it has been interesting to watch WTI crude go up to 84, 85. Also, natural gas has been on a run lately, up as high as $1.80 now and moving north. So propylene up 3, coming into March. So, there is some strengthening out there. Benzene, I mean, where are we at? 410 right now, 404, 410. So that's very high. That's a traded product. So I think there's some issues with getting product and product availability and shipping it, through the canal and canals, et cetera. But yeah, there is some stress. There's been stress. Last year was a very poor year. We're starting to hear about earnings from last year, which were extremely poor. We're talking people that are 20, 30% EBITDA of what they were the year prior. We saw that. I mean, we see it. I know what our order patterns are every week. We saw that last year. We called it the chemical recession. A couple things are going to happen. People are going to lose their jobs. Okay, right now it's starting to happen. They're starting to catch up and see last year was devastating. And so what's the typical reaction of companies? It's let go of the people that are the high earners or the people that are in sales. There was some restriction going to AFPM on who could go, which to me is stupid. Like I can't even phrase it nicer than that. It's like, oh, well, our sales are down, so let's stop talking to the industry. Let's stop selling and restrict the number of people that go. But anyway, back to my point. When you have chemical plants that aren't running at full rates for a whole year or at all, or or restricting the maintenance on it, we're starting to pay for that. Sure. You got to remember 2009 was only a quarter, a half a year. That was really bad. This was a full year plus. I would call it a year and a half. July 2022 is when the chemical or manufacturing recession started in the USA. So that's a year and a half. And now everybody's ramping up because you know what? They need to get as much out of the output out of their plants as possible. Things are going to break.
Yep. And
that's what we're seeing right now. And fortunately, so far, we haven't lost life except for that, what happened on that bridge. But, that to me was just a horrible accident. But, we're starting to see things that are, and then the standard, once something does break, to come back up, the governments are getting a higher standard. So it costs more money. So that's what we're starting to see. And that's really the impact of why we're seeing raw materials start to rise.
Yep. Yeah, going back to your point about people stopping traveling, it is amazing. There's less folks over here from Asia than I think normal years.
Right.
And even something like just our golf outing or cocktail party, I think people appreciate the fact that we even did anything or companies doing anything, because you see so many companies that aren't doing it. So many of our direct competitors or other producers or whatnot just don't have any presence like that whatsoever. And
I think they appreciated that we were serving Camus, Cabernet, and top shelf bourbons. Ben, we were,
That was the talk of the AFPM. I heard about that.
I think that was, something. Our ethanol business was very strong that night.
Yes, it was. So yes, it was.
Pure 200 proof ethanol was flying out the door that night. So, but no, it was a great time, and it was interesting for sure.
It was a good buzz, not just because it's alcohol, but
you and I weren't drinking much. That was the thing. We had to say something in front of everybody, so we were having sparkling water or whatever, and watching everybody drink that delicious looking dark red wine. It was like,
it looked good. It looked good.
What, Nicole? Come
no,
on.
it's the Camus. Everyone was talking about that. It was memorable. I mean, it's fun.
If I could try some.
We'll get you a bottle.
All right.
Special AFPM 2024 edition.
Well, we always talk about what we can do to get our name out there and make a buzz. I think we made a buzz.
We made a buzz.
People were talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount, even the next day, on the TCC team, they're like, "Oh, this one texted me that," and I'm like, "Oh wow, who would have thought?"
It's a phenomenal bottle of wine. I remember when it was. I remember when it was $25. You know what I mean?
That would have been nice.
Right now, you're looking at in the liquor store $90 probably.
Yep.
180, 200 at Ruth Chris probably per bottle. But
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. That's right. He chose it. Oh gosh.
It was worth it.
So they're short. The raw material, the Camus raw material, Ruth Chris is short there.
Stock is going through the roof.
Yeah. Oh, that's
their stock's down.
Well, it's nice having AFPM behind us. We move on. Obviously, this year's a pretty busy trade show and travel year, but we got a couple of shows to jump right into planning and thinking about here.
Yeah, so the Coatings Show is coming up. That's late April. I can't believe that. Then back to back is pretty much NPE in Orlando, and Javi and Rob are going to APEC. That'll be fun.
Yep. South Korea, Seoul.
Ask Rob if he's booked his flights yet.
I have not.
I was going to say
I haven't either, so
okay.
I was going to ask you today.
It's the end of May. It's like May 29th.
It's coming up.
It's coming up a lot faster.
I know, but I could be dead by then. You don't know.
Whenever you say that about booking travel, it still gives me agita. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I can't do it. It gives me agita if I book it that far in advance. I can't do it. I have to, I have to get somewhat close. That's April,
What's
May,
your
2 months
definition
away.
of somewhat close?
I'm getting there.
We're looking
Okay.
at it. We're looking at it.
I've also got a wife that she's going, she's not going, she's going, she's not going. So I have to wait until she's committed to going, or not going, and then I can book.
Yeah.
Because
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Now, where is it actually? It's in
Seoul.
Seoul.
I've been watching food shows about it and travel documentaries and
they
stuff
have
like
great
that.
food.
The airport's kind of far from
Incheon.
Yeah.
Incheon Airport. No, but it's a quick highway.
1 hour or so,
45 to 1 hour.
Okay.
45 minutes to an hour, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Incheon Airport.
And it's been there before, right? You picked?
Many years
Yeah.
ago. Many years ago.
At one point, that was Javi's favorite place, or one of his favorite places to visit. He really loves it there. So.
Not anymore.
No, I love it.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
it. I haven't been there in a while. I love it.
Well, that's you're starting to think about meetings. I think you said too, right? Starting to,
Yeah, people were talking about it, starting schedule next week. So,
Yeah.
Should be a good one.
Yeah, definitely.
Nice.
Always enjoy going over there. It's a great opportunity to see so many people and usually awesome locations. My favorite was Sapporo, I think. And it was in Sapporo. Hard to get to, but
Yep.
that was an awesome location. You guys liked Mumbai last year, right?
No, it was
Delhi was beautiful.
Delhi, sorry.
Yeah, it was beautiful. You should have came.
Yeah, I come you to come.
How did you miss that
my
year?
flight. I forgot to book it.
How convenient.
It got late, and I forgot to book.
Oh, man.
But it was nice to see AJ go do that. I mean, he's not a world traveler guy, and he handled it very well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
no,
a good trip.
No Delhi belly.
Nope.
No, I think we somehow managed to avoid Delhi Belly.
Yeah. Same with Apla. We managed to know.
Yeah, same with Apla.
We did fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bottled water.
Water to brush your teeth.
Sure, a lot of that.
Yeah. No, to brush your teeth.
Oh,
yeah.
It is very important, yeah.
Yeah, because your body's not used to it. Mine is, but not it.
Well, I heard that Mick Ultra kills whatever causes Delhi.
Yeah,
belly,
Michelob Ultra.
Yeah, so you had no problem.
Yeah, Michelob Ultra is my best friend.
Yeah. But yeah, so we're looking at the coatings show, looking at NPE, obviously APIC coming up shortly behind that. So it's going to be a busy next couple of weeks, but a lot of good stuff, a lot of stuff we're looking forward to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Any other final thoughts, questions? Any parting AFPM final words of wisdom or anything coming up here else for April?
Place your orders.
Yeah.
Forecast better.
Early and often.
Early and often. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that people right now are starting to let their guard down a little bit. They're starting to, so I'd be careful with that. Just coming into the summer season is, I think there's going to be a demand uptick. We are hearing that things like, retail's off a little bit, so maybe that's having an impact on some businesses. But it's going to be an ever-changing environment here. Things are going to happen more quickly, so you have to really pay attention. Watch this show, listen to the podcast, and pay attention because things change very rapidly, it seems.
Yep. Yeah, very much so. We'll do our Q2 episode with Kathy Hall. We're recording next week. So by the time this comes out, the Kathy Hall episode should come out a few days after. So always an interesting update on what's happened with, specific to us, obviously benzene and propylene, and then all the other indicators she tracks. So that'll come out here shortly as well.
Mm-hmm.
Javi, any final words of wisdom?
Thank you for everybody to come meet with us. We're open for business. We're looking for always new suppliers, new partners, new customers. We like fair competition. So yeah, we're here, and we're here for the long term.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, with that, we'll thank you guys, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you,
Thank
Benny.
you.
Thanks, Benny.
Thank you.
Material contained on this podcast is provided by the chemical company solely for informational purposes. The information is not guaranteed to be correct, complete, or up to date. The information in the podcast is intended solely as a general education aid. TCC is providing this podcast as a public service, but it is neither a legal interpretation nor a statement of TCC policy. Reference to any specific product or entity does not constitute an endorsement or recommendation by TCC. The views expressed by guests are their own, and their appearance on the program does not imply an endorsement of them or any entity they represent. Views and opinions expressed by TCC employees are those of the employees and do not necessarily reflect the view of TCC or any of its officials. All statements, comments, and opinions presented are made in the context of robust dialogue and freedom of expression. TCC assumes no responsibility for any consequence relating directly or indirectly to any action or inaction taken based on the information in this podcast. While TCC strives to keep the information in the podcast accurate, complete, and up to date, we cannot guarantee and will not be responsible for any damage or loss related to the accuracy, completeness, or timeliness of the information. TCC assumes no liability for any errors or omissions in the content of this podcast. The information contained on the podcast is provided entirely on an as-is basis with no guarantees of completeness, accuracy, usefulness, or timeliness. Thank you for streaming the View from Jamestown podcast edition.
Like and subscribe for more.